Algorithms are going to exponentially shape our days, how we feel during our months, how we feel during our years. Effectively, the more interactions that we have with them, what we've designed starts to design us. Roll credits. Just kidding. So, as designers, thank you, my staff, for laughing at that. I appreciate it. Jeez, it's the fakest laugh I've ever heard. So, as designers, I propose a very familiar framework for us, the how might we question. How might we make sure that we don't leave creating algorithms to the engineers who are currently in charge of this? So before I try to answer that, which I'm going to go into via my product, Varus, which I'm developing currently, it might be helpful for us to make a couple distinctions. One, I want to talk about the difference between algorithm AI and machine learning. And I want to talk a little bit about how I get into thinking about just AI in general as a layman. But I actually don't want to dive like face first into this deep discussion of algorithm versus machine learning versus AI, because this debate is actually going on pretty extensively online right now. There's a lot of articles being written about it. And as a product person, I'm kind of starting to feel like shruggy emoji, like it might not matter that much for us. Although, when this question comes up a lot to me, pretty much this is how I start to frame it. So, for our purposes here, that wasn't one of my people. That's great. For our purposes here, I'm merely going to be drawing a distinction that I personally like, that I've done a little bit of research on, that I'm pretty comfortable with. And then after I draw this distinction, I'm not really going to touch on it very much, because it doesn't really affect the rest of this discussion. And, but if I don't do this, there may be an engineer, AI fanboy in the audience right now who's going to come up to me after the show, bust my balls, worse than some Star Wars fan freaking out after The Last Jedi. So that's why we're doing this. So this is generally how I've learned to think about these. Generally speaking, an algorithm is a set of rules that, when proper inputs are entered, sometimes, and I emphasize sometimes, even to the point that I used word art, result in a solution to the problem that that algorithm is trying to solve. Let's contrast that with machine learning, which does everything that I just said, but takes it one step further. Machine learning tries to answer the question, that algorithm that I just mentioned, how could that algorithm provide a solution when the inputs are much, much more broad, that it's had inputs that it's never seen before? That's the difference between an algorithm and machine learning. And finally, artificial intelligence. I think it's generally accepted now that for it to be AI, has to do the two previous things, but tagged on to that, it has to actually make some sort of behavior or decision. It has to do something with that data. So to sum this all up, algorithms solve specific problems based on rules and specific inputs. Machine learning allows those algorithms to expand it to new understanding of the inputs that it takes in. Oftentimes they're similar inputs, but it's an expanded view of those. And finally, AI uses that type of decision-making process to then go and generate some decision from that. Whew. All right.